and welcome to this class of classical sociology, or what we call as the foundation in sociological thought. Today we have a very interesting topic here, and it's by Durkhiem, and as you see, it's division of labor. This particular work of his is one of his first works that he published, and it was based on his doctoral dissertation. This particular work stands out as a pioneering work in the field of sociology because for the first time Durkheim showed to the world and to the different social scientists that what could be the subject matter of sociology, and in a way how you could use a systematic method in a scientific way to study about a social phenomena. So let's have a look at this in this presentation as to what Durkheim had to portray with the help of this work. So as you see here, we're going to look at a quick introduction, and then I'll take you to the main aspects of this work, that's division of labor and solidarity, his classification of mechanical and organic, and then conclude. As you see here, in this particular work, it's a classic work of where he talks about the concept of collective conscience. This particular work was published in 1893, and you see that in this work you find a relationship between individual and society or the collectivity. So there's a confluence of individual and collectivity coming together in what he calls it as the collective conscience. It's a classic study of social solidarity. Durkheim tries to determine the social consequences of division of labor. Now, if you look at the meaning of division of labor, this concept can be looked at in three ways. One, technical division of labor, which describes the production process. This is mainly to do with factories, industries, or different other places which you have something being produced, and as a result, the work amongst people are divided based on their specialization. Second is sexual division of labor. You find here that there is division between men and women in terms of the work they do, and this is what sometimes society prescribes based on the work which a man and woman can do, not rather than what they can't. Third, social division of labor, differentiation of people in the whole society. So this is based on different people doing different types of work in a given society. So let's have a look at what Durkheim had to portray to us in this work of his, what we call it as division of labor. So going further, you will see that in this work there is a link between division of labor and solidarity. Social solidarity refers to the integration and degree and type of integration is manifested by a society or a group. So this becomes interesting because we are talking about social solidarity, and by this definitely he meant about integration of people in the society. And what Durkheim did was that he linked social solidarity to the level of division of labor. So this is quite interesting, that how is division of labor related to social solidarity. And according to Durkheim, he says that the desires, self-interest of human beings can only be held in check by the forces that originate outside the individual. Here he is referring to his concept of social fact, which he published in his Rules of Sociological Method in 1895. And Durkheim characterizes this external force as a collective conscience, a common social bond that is expressed by the ideas, values, norms, beliefs, and ideologies of a culture. Going further, we see that the collective conscience originates with the society. Durkheim elaborates the cause and effect of weakening group ties, and this weakening of collective conscience is strongly being shown through his work, that is division of labor in society and suicide. These two works specially focus on the weakening collective conscience, but there are other works of his that still there is collective conscience being focused upon, even in his work of religion. Going further, you see in the division of labor, Durkheim identifies two forms or types of solidarity which are based on different sources. Mechanical solidarity is solidarity which comes from likeness and is at its maximum when the collective conscience completely envelopes a whole conscience and coincides in all point with it. So let's have a look at this classification that you'll find over here, and you'll see that the mechanical solidarity is one type of solidarity and organic is another one. The mechanical solidarity is based on the principle of homogeneity and likeness, and the organic solidarity is based on the principle of heterogeneity, difference and interdependence. What does this mean? We shall see in the slides from now. As we go further, we see that mechanical solidarity is a social solidarity based on homogeneity, means based on that people are similar, they are same to each other. Homogeneity of what? Of values, of behavior, of social constraint, of royalty, of tradition, of kinship. The term is applied usually to a small non-literate societies characterized by simple division of labor, where little specialization of function, only few social roles and very little tolerance of individuality can be seen. So this has been a characteristic what Durkheim could identify among small non-literate. Would mean that when they talk about hunting and food gathering type of societies, you talk about horticultural societies, you'll talk about agricultural societies, settled agricultural societies, and so on. These all can be clubbed together as where this type of solidarity could be seen. And as we see, the mechanical solidarity occurs in early societies in which there is not much division of labor. So people do the same type of work in that given society, and even men and women will be doing very similar work to one another. This results into so very homogeneous nature of humans in that given society, and therefore the norms, the values, the beliefs of the society form a collective conscience, and so homogeneous, they are so very homogeneous that they confront the individual with such overwhelming consistent force that there is little opportunity in the society for individuality or deviance from this collective conscience. So as we see further, you will see that the mechanical solidarity is equivalent to traditional primitive society. You will find such type of solidarity in this type of societies. And therefore there are three takeaway points from this. One, you see a principle of likeness. There is similarity in every aspect of life. Everything is so very mechanical. That is why it's called as mechanical solidarity. According to me, I would refer to this as social cloning, because everybody is so very similar to one another. It's very difficult to distinguish people from one another. They have a shared common values which gives rise to collective conscience, because their values are so very similar. It is in the consciousness of their mind that gives rise to a collective feeling, a collective conscience amongst each other. And these values are based on high morality, social integration, and is usually centered around religion. Lastly, there is less chance of difference, and hence no one will deviate in such type of societies. Again, because the integration is very strong, therefore no one will try to deviate or move away from what is expected or accepted in this type of society. Going further, looking at the other example of this, you will see a classic example here. When we had been to this village of Marle in Kotigaon, you will find that this is an agricultural society and also a food gathering society, and you will find that in such a society it is based on the principle of sameness, likeness. There is homogeneity among people, there is shared values, beliefs, tradition, and they are also very closely knit, and there is high level of integration that you find in such a society. Looking further to the aspect of organic solidarity, you find that it is a type of societal solidarity typical of modern industrial society, in which the unity is based on interdependence of a very large number of highly specialized roles in a system having complex division of labor that requires the cooperation of almost all the groups and individuals of society. The organic solidarity developed as a byproduct of division of labor. And as you see, the society becomes more complex. Individuals play more specialized roles, become even more dissimilar in their social experiences, material interests, values, and beliefs. So, in the modern industrial societies, as people start doing more and more different types of work that is different from each other, what each one does, you will find that there is a very high specialization that happens, and people become very much different from one another. So individuals in such a socio-cultural system have less in common. However, they must become more dependent on each other for their survival. So if you take a simple example like a person who produces, say, tea, who plants a tree there is tea plantation. People who do that are not fully independent. They are dependent on the workers, they are dependent on the people who work in the factory to process those leaves, to transport them, to package them, to send them somewhere, depend on the shopkeepers to sell it, and then again they generate the profits of this. So you have so many levels of interdependence over here. The growth of individualism is inevitable result of increasing division of labor in such type of societies. And this individualism can only develop at the expense of common values, morality, beliefs, and normative rules of society. The sentiments and beliefs that are held by all are sometimes compromised over here. So we find this in modern complex societies where you have a different type of solidarity emerging called as the organic solidarity. Organic solidarity is thus based on what we call it as the principle of differentiation, but at the same time which makes people interdependent on each other. So with the loosening of these common values, we lose a sense of community, our identity, the group. The social bond is thereby weakened, but nevertheless, although you see the collective conscience lessening, there are criminal laws that replace the civil and administrative laws. And here the stress is on one's rights of individual rather than punishment. So there is something very distinct that happens here. And as you see, the three takeaway points from organic solidarity is that you will find this type of solidarity in modern industrial societies, and you will see it is based on the principle of individualism, highly specialized roles. Due to complex division of labor, it gives rise to interdependence among people. Second, they are dissimilar in their values, which gives rise to individualism. There is high moral values centered around laws of the state. So everything is controlled by the state. You have laws that are there and it's common for everyone to follow no matter what. And lastly, the consensus results from differentiation and interdependence. And thus what happens here is there is an increase in organic solidarity, which means an increase in moral progress. So in other words, indirectly, there is a moral progress happening because of the increase in organic solidarity. So with this, we come to an end of Durkheim's division of labor, and thank you so much.